Good evening. I'm Erin O'Toole, leader of the official opposition and of Canada's Conservatives. As many of you know, my wife Rebecca and I have COVID-19. We have been isolating here at home, like thousands of Canadians have throughout this pandemic. But it was important for me to find a way to safely connect with Canadians tonight. The situation facing my family shows that we must remain extremely vigilant in our battle against the spread of COVID-19. Please be mindful of that in the weeks ahead. We must also be very vigilant for the future of our country. After 4 years of Mr. Trudeau, our country is more divided, less prosperous, and less respected on the world stage. Across this country, millions of Canadians have lost their jobs. Many fear losing their homes, and too many have lost hope. Mr. Trudeau says we're all in this together, but Canada has never been more divided. Today, Mr. Trudeau told millions of Canadians that building back better doesn't include their family. I believe we need to build back stronger as a country. We must be more resilient and self-reliant for the future. The pandemic showed we can only count on ourselves in a crisis. We need to be more nimble and community-focused. We need to be working together to support one another and protect the vulnerable. When I spoke with Mr. Trudeau last week, I asked him to ensure that Canadians had better and faster access to COVID testing options. It is unacceptable that we trust countries like Japan, Germany, and the US with our national security intelligence, but don't trust their approval of 15-minute saliva tests. In March, the Prime Minister promised that rapid testing for Canadians would be his top priority. Half a year and $500 billion later, Canadian families are lined up for hours for tests because the Prime Minister failed to deliver. I also asked the Prime Minister to offer solutions for Western alienation. We must show our fellow Canadians that we value them and respect their contributions to our country. Resource revenues contribute to building of roads and hospitals in every corner of this great country, not just in the provinces where the resources are found. Our country was built on exploration, hard work, and perseverance, and these character traits are even more important today as we rebuild. I also asked the Prime Minister to outline practical help for small businesses. COVID-19 has been devastating to small businesses, especially family-owned businesses. Finally, Canada's foreign policy must be built on our interests and values. I believe in free trade, but I also believe in fair trade where countries follow the rules. Free trade amongst free and democratic countries. For far too long, Canada has paid a high price for trade with communist China. The price has been too high for Canadian access to safe, reliable PPE in a pandemic. The price has been also too high for many Canadian workers. We must open up new, dependable markets in the Indo-Pacific and work with our allies to rebalance global trade. We will show the Communist Party in Beijing that we are a proud trading nation, but that the one thing not for sale is our values. So my first big speech as Conservative leader was at 1:30 in the morning, and now my second is from my front porch while I'm recovering from COVID. This was not the first month I had planned, but as I told my team 2 weeks ago, through adversity to the stars. Canadian families, whether mine or yours, will get through everything. We must do so together with our shared faith in the true north, strong and free. Thank you.
I know that you're worried. I know that you're worried about your kids going to school. I know that you're worried about paying the bills. I know you're worried about your jobs. I know you're worried about your loved ones and our elders in long-term care homes. And I know you're seeing the numbers rising and you're worried about a second wave. I want you to know that like we've done throughout this pandemic, we see you, we hear you, and we're going to keep fighting for you. I know that COVID-19 has exposed a lot of problems, but these aren't new problems. A lot of them existed before the pandemic. And Justin Trudeau has been in power before with a majority government and hasn't made these things better. With healthcare, we knew that our healthcare system wasn't there for people when they needed. And we needed to do better with universal pharmacare and dental care. Well, Justin Trudeau just promised again to do it, but he's had 6 years to deliver something and has not done it. We know that we need to do better to take care of each other, a better social security, social safety net. And it's not good enough to just say the words. We need to actually see the actions. I know people need childcare, and COVID-19 has impacted women disproportionately, and we need to invest in our recovery that actually supports childcare that's universal. And I know people are worried about how we're going to pay for all of this. I know it's not your fault, workers that have lost their jobs, small businesses that are struggling, you shouldn't have to pay for this pandemic. Those who profited off the pandemic should be paying the price. And I know Liberals are afraid to say the words. Let's say it clearly, we need a wealth tax. The wealthy must pay their fair share, those at the very top. And I want you to know, since the beginning of this pandemic, when we saw people were being excluded, when people were being missed out, we fought for you. When we saw students were missed out entirely, we fought for students. We fought for people living with disabilities. We fought for seniors. We fought to make sure people got the help they need. And I know that we need to continue to fight. I want you to know that moving forward, we're going to continue to fight to make sure you get the help you need. We're going to be there for you. Thank you so much for supporting New Democrats. Because New Democrats were elected by you, we were there to fight for you when you needed. I know that people are going through a tough time, but Canadians have shown that when we take care of each other, we all rise.
Healthcare is Quebec's exclusive responsibility. That is where Quebecers place their confidence. But Mr. Trudeau did not hear the request from all the provinces for an immediate, unconditional, and sustainable increase in healthcare transfers. He comes back with his obsession to interfere in Quebec's jurisdiction and tell it how it should spend money and impose national standards. We want to ensure there is support for people.